I just wanted to make a quick warning video with some of the things I've been shown. On May 28th, I had a quick dream. It's very quick. Someone was telling me to check out Celeste Solon's work, and I've seen some of her stuff, but their videos are quite long, so I hadn't really been keeping up on what she's been putting out. But when I did finally go and see what she had recently put out, um, it just led me back to this dream. It was like a massive confirmation of my dream on May 11th. I woke up that day at 4:44 in the morning with this dream. I dreamt that I was in my house, and it did look a little bit different. And this slightly chubby Latin guy came over and was installing some sort of white scaffolding all around the house. So that's what it, like a structure outside, so that you could have access to the top of the house. Somehow I knew that this was for 5G, and I was very upset about it. I was yelling at him for doing this. I felt like I went to my father to complain about it. Now, this wouldn't make sense in real life because my father has passed away. So that day they represented the Lord. And then I was telling my friend Nicole about it. And this is not really someone I keep in touch with at all, but I think it's her name that's symbolic here. And I focused on my complaint to her was about how there were two bars that were covering the doorway of the scaffolding. So the two bars were covering the doorway, and it was going to be very annoying to go in and out of the house. So that's kind of what I was complaining to her about. What really caught my eye, though, is this scaffolding related to 5G. So I'll play Celeste's video about that really alerted me to this dream.
And they are saying that this is a bioengineered smart hydrogel, and it is similar to the material made with contact lenses. The hydrogel is made up of porous tissue integrating scaffolding. Now so it's porous, it's nanoparticles, and it's tissue integrating. So when I say that it's fusing to your existing tissue in your body, to your ligaments, to your bones, it is actually fusing itself with that. Not only that, it is setting up an artificial intelligence scaffolding inside of your body so that you become one with artificial intelligence and autonomous systems. And then when applied, it promotes capillary and cellular growth, ingrowth from the surrounding tissue. So it kind of piggybacks onto your own capillary system, which are your blood vessels, the small ones, and cellular growth. So as they grow and are replaced, this scaffolding and tissue integrating smart hydrogel grows along with it throughout your body.
So that's, pretty recent, April of 2020. So you notice that she used the word scaffolding all around, and that's what they were putting all around the house that I was in. The building, your personal house, could be used as a metaphor for your body. So that's what I think was happening in this dream. And I knew that what they were doing with the scaffolding was for 5G. This military funding biosensor is what they're calling the future of pandemic detention. It's set for FDA approval already next year. So this is really crazy. This is the Profusa hydrogel, right? Same thing, right? From contact lenses, it can be inserted with a syringe. And I had that dream of that syringe, those syringes flying like arrows, and we were running away from that. And it says it sends light, detects the signal, and can signal that the wearer it can send it to a doctor or a website. It's like a blood lab on the skin that can pick up the body's response to illness before the presence of other symptoms. Okay, so they want to try to use this against COVID-19. They're using this as an excuse. So that's really creepy. I also found this other project with DARPA's Clarity that allows them to actually go directly into the brain. So it uses a chemical process to transform intact biological tissue into a hybrid of tissue and hydrogel. So here's the fusing that Celeste was talking about. A transparent material that keeps three-dimensional tissue structure intact. So this allows for a detailed exploration of the brain and keeps the structure of the entire brain. And it reduces the risk of damaging the brain tissue. So that's really interesting. And this was back in 2014. So this was done obviously on deceased brains, but it's already been 6 years, and they're looking to have been doing more with this. Here is where a more recent video of the neural interface that DARPA was working on to connect humans and machines.
Okay, and Doug was injured 25 years ago in a near-fatal electrical accident. And Doug's very different than Nathan in the sense that he has no hands on both of his arms. He lost both of his hands. Imagine living your life that way. But for Doug, we also explored the possibility of a direct neural interface for him. So in this particular case, we took that same sensor array, but instead of placing it in the brain, we placed it into the nerves of his forearm. You can actually see on the right side of the screen there his residual limb, and that's where that sensor array is. Now, what's different in this picture is that we connected his peripheral nervous system to that 3D virtual environment that's in the center of the screen. And there's a virtual hand there, and it's going to be touching a virtual door. And whenever the virtual hand touches the virtual door, signals are sent back into that electrode array, into his nerves, and this is what Doug can actually do with that interface.
Can you feel the finger sliding when you do that?
Yeah, actually,
That's so cool.
So this is where he kind of reveals the strategy of what they're trying to do with this technology.
And we said, okay, again, this is DARPA. We tried to push the limits of what's possible. We said, okay, if we can do that for movement and sensation, can we try to do something even more complex? So we went to memory in the human and said, okay, for humans with traumatic brain injury, could we restore their ability to form and recall memories? Again, direct brain interface. Now, here's one thing that may blow your mind. The kind of questions that we have to go after here are answering things like, what is a memory in your brain? Right? Have you ever thought about what a memory is, what those intricate neural firing patterns actually are, and how you need to interact with them in order to facilitate memory formation and recall? That's the scale of the problem that we're actually working on in DARPA. Again, being DARPA, we don't just stop there. We keep moving forward in our trajectory. I actually started a new program in 2013 called Subnets, thinking about the sub-networks of the brain, but for the most challenging problem of neuropsychiatry, and that's mental states. Right? Think about depression and anxiety. Think about trying to develop a direct neural interface to help people with their depression and anxiety. And again, the same questions are there. What actually is depression in the brain? What are the neurons that are involved in anxiety? Those are the kinds of things that we're ultimately going after.
So what's really interesting is this guy doesn't even have a hand, and he was able to use this interface in his wrist, which is not in his brain, and he was able to feel, to receive input. It's not just information being shared from within his body to outside, but now he's receiving data to come in. What really caught my attention about this video here is, the hand. Where have we seen this little hand before? I had to go and actually look up, Ken Peters' Tribulation Vision about the mark of the beast, and we see the hand was actually what was placed. It was like an icon of the hand, and it's placed, pretty close to the wrist. So it's amazing that they can actually localize neurons. They can control by just having something close to the wrist. This guy kind of explains that here.
So how do we do this? We put a device on you. We put it right at your wrist, the most densely innervated part of the human body, probably twice as much of the nerve density and cortical real estate as what your mouth gets for chewing and speech production. This is where all your volitional and skillful control resides.
So he said this is where your volitional control resides. So I looked up volition, and it's the faculty or power of using one's will. So isn't that interesting? You can actually capture that at the wrist. And then finally, the last point is look at the man himself, that he is a director. And, he's a Latino man, Sanchez. So that was just interesting. He's not slightly chubby, but maybe the lockdown's making him chubby. I don't know. I just thought it was quite interesting how it was left there. And then finally, the time, 444, if you look it up in the Greek, it means humankind. In the Hebrew, it means to become filthy, to be corrupt, morally tainted. And we see that in Job and in some Psalms. They are all gone aside, they're all together become filthy, there is none that doeth good, no, not one. This is exactly the same thing as 2 Psalms. So that is quite a frightening thought that, this thing could actually taint you, make you corrupt. And just the symbolism of the dream of the scaffolding interacting with the 5G. I think this part about it was going to be very annoying to go in and out of the house. I think that just has to do with like input and output. Maybe it just makes it impossible for the Holy Spirit to enter your body with this thing. Also, the term Nicole, I hope that is something about us having victory over it. Nicole comes from the words Nike and Laos in Greek, and Nike, and it's supposed to mean victory of the people. Nike, from mythology, is the divine charioteer. It's also looked at as a warlike figure in mythology. Laos means common people, and her last name means palm tree, which is also a symbol of victory.